So let me just close with a couple of challenges. One is that the tremendous interest in data is, I couldn't be happier. Of course, I could be happier, well, depending on the budget. But anyway, but how do we meet it? And this report that Martha's going to talk about this afternoon addresses new leadership, the needs for new leadership and coordination in the department. More focus on the determinants of health, more focus on core standard indicators. It's really interesting. We have this incredible explosion of indicators, but now it's starting to be sort of cognitive dissonance. You know, there's so many. What are the best ones to use? Which are the most solid ones? Okay, and that really isn't so clear. More reporting, more standardized reporting, and couldn't have been happier to see an emphasis on modeling. The Department of Health and Human Services is really very, very weak in modeling. And there's just no question that it is important. Simulation models, analytic models are really crucial for more understanding of data, particularly at the community level. So let me finish with my sort of last challenge here. This goes to something that Tom Frieden has been talking about, okay, winnable battles, but in particular, the areas of aspirin use, blood pressure, cholesterol, and smoking. And he makes the point that we're not winning these battles. And that raises for me, given that all of these are winnable, in the sense that we know how to either modify these or use these, why aren't we doing better? Okay, blood pressure control is pretty much plateaued. Cholesterol, we're doing somewhat better, but it's still, none of these are where they could be. Okay, so I think of a framework. Maybe that would help me think about it, and I come back to this, which I think is somewhat helpful, but still leaves me a bit cold. And then I think of something like this, which goes back, I've forgotten what year this was, 1990, the 80s, Evans and Stoddard, which I tend to think of as a dynamic model, as opposed to just influences. Okay? And this is where I think modeling can come in. But I'm still left feeling that somehow there's something in data collection that we're missing. If I think about our data collection, we collect data. We collect some longitudinal data, but it's minimal. Okay? Although some of it very important. We know for every person who's in our surveys, we know down the line whether they're alive or dead, which means that we have a longitudinal database, not used very much by the community, but that's available. I think we need to promote it more. But I still feel we're missing something. Okay? And when I've thought about this, I think an area that we're not collecting any data, we, NCHS, is in the social side, the network side. And yet, there's a few papers, very important papers, that say that this is really important. Okay? And this is data from the New England Journal article on data from Framingham. Okay? I also have been reading The Social Animal, which reinforces this for me, that we're not, at least we, I'm saying, I don't know if this is the general we here, or it's more the data collectors. We really are thinking of things more on a cross-sectional basis, not longitudinally. And in cross-sectional, we're not looking at really what's influencing people. We're not looking at who their friends are. We're not looking to any real degree on what's going on in their families, on what's going on in their communities, and how that influences them. Very little information. Okay? Another paper from the same team using Framingham data focused on obesity, okay? And yet another paper, and from that came this diagram, if we're interested in diagrams, that shows this social network at the top, in which we're collecting essentially no information. Obesity and this disease network, in which we have a lot of information from NIH and elsewhere, and we actually collect information on that, say through NHANES. And then finally, there's the basic research side, the metabolic network. So maybe what we need to do is to think about something in which we put all of these together, okay? And we think in somewhat different terms than we have in the past, okay? I think we need to change the way we're we need to augment how we're collecting data to give us more information that we can go on to understand how we really can win the battles that are really winnable. Okay. So this is us here getting information from the left over here, the births, all the way to the other side, and it's everything in the middle that we're trying to do. I guess that's us in the middle, but I tell you, I think we're really having a lot of fun in doing it. The challenge is there, and in the few minutes remaining, I'd be happy to answer questions. Thank you.